Hello and welcome back. If this is your first time here, I am so glad that you found me. My name is Marjorie Boswick Phoenix, and I am a leadership evolution architect. This video today is part of a special series that I'm doing for Women's History Month. And each week, we're going to go deeper into what it actually means to lead as a woman right now in this moment of collapse and transformation. Today, we're talking about a historical figure that you're familiar with and her archetype. Now, for centuries, women's stories have been filtered through a handful of archetypes, most of them created by men. The archetypes of mythology and psychology, it gave us a map of the feminine psyche. Persephone descending, Artemis wild and free, Laluba gathering the bones in the desert. These archetypes are sacred. And this is why I use them to inform my work. I see them as a mirror and a map for women. So, what are the archetypes that speak to this moment? To women leading through this rupture and this threshold moment that we're in. One of those archetypes is Harriet Tubman. Now, you think that you may know her story, but I want you to hear it from my perspective today. We know that Harriet was a woman that was born into bondage, yet she became a woman who freed herself and others. She is the fullest expression of courage. And honestly, a few men could use this energy right about now. I digress. Harriet acted on what her inner knowing was telling her. You know, she knew that she wasn't meant to stay on the plantation. She wasn't meant to stay there. And when she got to freedom, she also knew that she needed to go back and bring others with her. So she didn't wait for permission. She didn't wait for the weather to cooperate. She didn't wait until she saw someone else do it first or until she was chosen to do it. Had she not followed what she knew in the marrow of her bones, I wonder how that would have changed the course of history. And I want you to stop right now and to ask yourself, what do you know in the marrow of your bones that you're resisting? How might you taking that next step change the course of history? Because what I know about Harriet's story is that it was never just about her or for her. It wasn't personal in that way. There are some of you that are watching this whose vision is so large right now that it was never about you having another six-figure month or a multi-million dollar year. It was about dismantling, rearranging, and architecting something for the future. So when we think about a woman who didn't just talk about this kind of leadership, who actually lived it in her body in real time and took real risk, Harriet is undeniable. And she was what I call the archetype of the dangerous woman. In a world that tried to legally own her, she chose herself first. She took risk right in their faces, under their noses. Her resistance was fierce, and it was feared. She was also the wild woman leader, moving by instinct in the dark, underground, by divine guidance, by something she couldn't fully name but trusted completely. She was also the midwife of collapse. She didn't just get herself out, she went back, I think 13 times. She held that terror and fear and kept moving forward. And here's what history tends to gloss over. Harriet didn't do it alone the entire time. She started alone, but afterwards she was the architect, the one who moved first before there was safety or certainty. The Underground Railroads became a network of safe houses, coded messages, resources passed quietly between hands, a web of trust built between people without the internet, I might add. She called in allies. She built relationships across lines of race and class and geography because that's what the mission required. And this is something we must understand at this time. We cannot move alone, but there's a way that we can move quietly, intentional, under the radar. And we can move together and bring others with us because we are more powerful when we move as a unit. Harriet knew something that every powerful moment in history has proven true. One woman can start a fire, but it takes many to keep it burning. She knew when to lead from the front and when to build the infrastructure behind her. She moved first. That movement created the proof, and then that proof made others willing to follow. Then she built the system that made their freedom real. This is a model, and not just for her time, but for ours. So if you're watching this and you can feel a pull towards this kind of leadership, but something keeps stopping you right at the threshold, I made something for you and I call it the Emergence Map. And I put a link in the description below, and we'll come back to that later. So let's talk about these archetypes. I want to name Harriet's archetypes one more time, and I want you to sit with how you might embody them for such a time as this. The dangerous woman. I've done a video about this, and I'll make sure to put the link for that in the description below as well. And I go into more detail about this archetype. But the dangerous woman is not dangerous because she's destructive, but dangerous because she doesn't perform for anyone. She leads from her gut. Her power is her sovereignty, and she is feared because of it. The wild woman leader. I'm in my wild woman leader era right now. So we follow our instincts as a wild woman leader, and we carry ancestral memory with us. This is a remembering that's happening through us. We disrupt what needs to be disrupted. And then there's the midwife of collapse. She holds space when systems are falling apart. She doesn't panic. She births what's next. She pulls others out of the rubble. Now, do you see how these three work together? The dangerous woman initiates. The wild woman stabilizes. The midwife of collapse guides us towards what's emerging. One moves first, one holds the memory, one tends to the threshold. And together, they don't just survive the collapse, they lead through it. These aren't just invented identities. We're remembering what the world forced us to forget. So here's what I want to leave you with. Harriet didn't wait until conditions were perfect. She didn't wait until she was ready. She listened to something deeper within her and she moved. That energy is available to you, to all of us right now. So if you've been sitting at a threshold, which I know a lot of you have been, if you know something needs to change, if you feel that pull to lead differently, to build something and to step forward, I want you to ask yourself, what would Harriet do? And not metaphorically, literally. What is the next step you've been afraid to take? And what would it look like just to move? Comment below and let me know what that move is for you.
Have you ever watched yourself do the very thing you said you wouldn't do over and over again, leaving you feeling frustrated and disappointed in yourself? I have. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why. Because I wasn't stuck from a lack of awareness. I was stuck in a loop I hadn't fully named yet. And this is something that I kept hearing from the women that I worked with. Capable, driven, self-aware women still circling the same pattern, still standing in that in-between space, wondering why nothing was shifting for good. What I learned and what changed everything for me is that what moves us across the threshold is not more motivation, it's precision. Knowing exactly where you are, understanding where the pattern came from, and having a clear path of what comes next. That's why I created the Emergence Map. It's a diagnostic that helps you see the loop, name it, and replace it with a 90-day plan built specifically around your pattern. So if any of this felt familiar, that's your recognition signal. Comment map below for more details.